Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to another episode on Helios. My name is Rosie Gemini. What kind of shenanigans are we going to get up to today? I don't know. Let's go find out. We have our layout in, and as you guys can see, it is square shaped and it is very different than what we have done previously. Previously we have done round shapes, and this one is definitely going to be more on the square side. It's a longer tent, and we have divided it into 6 quadrants. We have our initial layout. This is as large as I want it to get. I don't want it to get like any bigger than this. These guys are fairly decent sized, smallish. And while this is a larger tent, I don't want it to just be miles long. I think you guys will like what I have in mind, but I don't know. Let's find out. Now, one of the things you guys will notice is that we are building over a river. Hello. We are building over a river, and we're keeping the river. I have plans for this river. It might become a tunnel of love. I don't know. We'll find out. It's gonna stay, and we're gonna shape it up and make it look all nice. So right now, it needs some love. It needs to connect and be a river. So our tent is going to sit on top of this river, and we're gonna make the river look really nice and pretty and all sorts of things, and it's not going to just disappear. I can tell you that much right now. I got a lot more work to do and materials to acquire. Alright, so with a build that is this big, there's no way I want to use extra materials and resources and just end up like having stuff that shouldn't be there. So, in order for us to avoid that situation, we are color blocking, figuring out where exactly things go. And so, as you guys can see, we are using some purple concrete, currently powder, but it will turn into the actual concrete. And then we're using the dried kelp block as well as the warped stem. So, that is going to be our base layer, that layer that we see right there. And I gotta bring it up to the height of those poles that are on the 4 corners. Alright, so in an ideal world, this is the color scheme we would be going for, and everything would look amazing and it would all work. However, this is overheating my computer by quite a bit, and it shouldn't be. So we are switching it up, and you know, that's just part of being a good server mate. And instead, we are going for something else. And I actually like this quite a bit. I really like the frayed edges of the dripstone block that fray kind of into this amethyst block, and they give that kind of odd texture of, it feels like a curtain, almost. And so it works. Is it as great? I don't know. That's up for you guys to debate, and you can let me know in the comment section down below. As you guys can see, I have been working on this. I told you, we're doing things with the river. Part of that is we are creating a glass river above so that I can also figure out where the savannah actually is and where the river actually is. Because apparently they don't match up, which is kind of interesting. So, for clarification, I am showing you guys this just because this is not what you're going to see in the final edit, but it is also interesting to see what a Minecraft river kind of looks like, how very, very different it can look. Like, there are parts that I'm just like, that should be land, or that should be water. So, it is kind of interesting for me to look at this and see exactly where this is all very different. I'm going to smooth out the edges. I'm going to make it all look really nice. Get rid of a few of the discrepancies. Like, there's some harsh corners that I'm not a fan of. Point is I wanted to show you guys what the river looked like beforehand, and we will see what it looks like after I am finished with the whole thing. Just in case you guys were wondering as to how I am doing this river, I take the schematic that We had from up here, and then we put it down here, and we've edged it with soul soil, so that way I know exactly where all the bends and twists and turns are. And then we're gonna take this down levels and make it look like an actual river with some depth and everything. So I got the riverbed in, and as you guys can see, I used soul soil and I used dark oak that was shaved with the pickaxe, and not too much of a problem. So I will say this, when you are deciding what you want your riverbed to look like, because there are many ways you could do this. You could do this out of cobblestone, you could do it multicolored. If you guys have seen one of my Legendland videos, you guys probably saw the riverbed that I did in there, and that was very different from this one and a lot more colorful. I'll link that video in the description down below. See what that riverbed looked like, because it was very different than this one. And this one's very simple. I did not want it to be very complicated or anything like that. I just wanted a simple, nice little river for people to float down. Yeah, something along those lines. I like it. Oh, it's turning out so well. And as you guys can see, we have edged it and with a pathing block, and you know, that just gives it that nice little look down below. Now, keep in mind, this is as far as this glass is gonna go, probably. And then we're gonna make all of this area look nice. And as you guys can see, we picked up 2 rabbits. I have also picked up 3 turtle eggs. We don't have the farms up and running because we have no ceiling to this yet, because I am still trying to figure out what the heck I'm going to do for it. Whoa. That's 3. I don't want to go with you. Well, we've been busy. Things look a little bit different down here, but yeah, well, I just started doing something and then I continued doing something, and just then, yeah, it was the middle of the night. So as you guys can see, we have changed things. We've gotten rid of the hillsides quite a bit, not fully, and we've got 2 big boulders basically as our turning point here that the water would be going through. I'm still not sure if I'm going to keep them as boulders or if I'm going to turn them into little hillsides or something like that. That is still to be determined. And you guys can see we also put in a retainer wall. Now, retainer wall is very important. It has, I have plans for that, as well as plans for over here. We have this over here, and I know that this leads to the cave that is right about there. I think it's right about there. And you guys saw me fighting some monsters in there. However, I'm not sure if I'm keeping this as a way to get down to the spider farm. It doesn't currently go to the spider farm, but I might make it do so. I don't know. Lots of thoughts. I shall be back. Alright, so go with me here, because you know how glass does this thing right here where it looks kind of like snow or static, but the blue glass hasn't done any of that, the whole time? I really like the blue glass, and I'd less like the white glass in this amount of quantity. Because look, it's got the sparkle effect and everything. And so, even though it's going to be a lot of work, we're going to change it out and make it look much better. So, I'll be back after, a lot of work. Alright, so you guys can see that we got all the glass in, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Alright, so we mossed everything on this side. As you can see, that side is not done yet, but it is a jungle in here once more. My goodness. Well, you guys know I can't let, the grass stick around because you can see a color differentiation right there in between the two different grass types, and that's the whole reason why we had to convert to moss blocks in the first place, is because you can see the color differentiation between savanna and the river biome, and I don't want that. So we're gonna take care of that, and let's make this less jungle-like. Moss block really is that block that is like a kid that paints all over the walls. It takes 5 seconds for them to do, and it takes hours for you to clean up and make sure it looks nice again. Going backwards takes so much longer than going forwards, and it's one of those things where it's just like, this is ridiculous to have to try and clean up after. Especially because moss blocks break really easy. I really like it. Oh my goodness. It looks so good in my opinion. You have these little visions and then they turn into bigger visions, and I love from up here how the river stacks to kind of elongate itself even more with the glass and everything. It's a really cool effect. I wish I didn't have to put a roof on top of this, but we are going to put a roof on top of this, so get a good look at this now and be inspired. Try this out in your own builds or whatever else you guys want to do with it. I really had a lot of fun making this. We are going to put a roof on top of here, but that is not happening today. It's not happening today. As you guys can see, we have elongated the amethyst and kelp blocks all the way down, and we've added in sandstone to give it that kind of a white dip dye kind of feel to it, and it goes underneath here. We do have plans for this area, as I have told you guys, but we are unfortunately out of time. But that's gonna do it for this episode. Leave a like if you liked the video. Subscribe if you want to see more. And as always, guys, as it is getting dark, stay rosy in that darkness.